absences. Okay. And that would be Rhonda's recording. Hey, David, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order as we have people who are needing to be other places. We may abbreviate some of our agenda. And normally we have not voted to accept an agenda in the past, but today I'm going to ask that we make an addition or a note. Joy had wanted to talk about the bags, the materials for the annual meeting. So I'm making a note. Let's not forget that. And there might have been one other thing, but I can't. We've got an additional budget, chapter budget to approve. So we'll remember that. Okay. Alan, do you want to go ahead and present your minutes since you're here?
Okay, I'm sorry. I sent the minutes out on June 8th. I got a few corrections. I made the corrections. And if there are no other corrections or additions, I ask for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, David. Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Jim. All in favor of approving the minutes as
I
presented?
don't remember.
You have something back there?
Aye.
You use it all up.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes have been accepted. Thank you, Alan. Now you
All right,
can
thank you
travel
all. Thank
with
you.
a clear conscience.
As far as Gsra goes, yes.
Yes. I don't see that Jay is with us. So we will we'll push communications till later. And Harold is not with us. Rhonda, Chuck needs to move his place up. So I'd like to go ahead and give Chuck some time right now, and then we can do the financials after that. How about that? Does that work?
Fine with me.
I know, I'm asking Rhonda. Okay. I knew it was fine with you, Chuck.
I'm here for the duration, so whenever we.
All righty, okay. So duly noted, and Mr. Friedman will now proceed.
Right, and in the absence of Commander Clay. All right, so we've had, am I on now?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. So we've had a few things going on over the last month. There was the ERS board meeting. There was a meeting that several of us had with Jim Potvin. A meeting that several others of us had with the new chairman, Homer Bryson, Jim Potvin as well. And then we got a financial issue, which we knew was coming and fell on us yesterday. As far as the ERS board meeting is concerned, you'll recall that we had requested to make a statement. And I think by the time we had our last board meeting, that was denied. So Madam President committed the statement to writing, sent it to the board, and we never heard a thing back from them. During that same week, we got a very persuasive letter from a law enforcement officer with motor carriers advocating for law enforcement folk who, well, actually all disabled members who are under the age of 45 to be able to receive COLAs, the massive COLAs that we had. I sent his message to the board member, didn't hear anything back from that either. You'll recall, hi, I'm on, please. Okay, bye. Okay, a tender moment is my child bride, mind you, leaves for her 50th high school reunion.
Heartwarming.
Indeed it is.
Yes.
So, wow, that just cleaned my brain. Where were we? On a law enforcement issue, I think we're all familiar with that. I don't have to go that particular one, the under 45. So there were fairly extensive conversations about the extent to which the ERS board was opening up its meeting and on all levels, and Dr. Jolie was advising us on that, and we'll get into that later. So moving forward, one of the things that happened, y'all recall that Jim Potvin, we had talked about. The other thing that we were asserting is that we wanted that FY24 annual, that's the way it's stated in the Appropriations Act, annual adjustment, the timing and the manner of that to be distributed. And we were advocating that it would be distributed as soon as possible. That again, Potvin kept saying, no, that would be done until next April. So, but what he did say was there were several issues that they thought that had to be considered for how it would be distributed. And he invited us to participate in that discussion. So that was the meeting that we had with him. Beverly, Jim, and myself participated, as well as one of the 4 late members who were interviewed by James Salzer for the article, whose benefit is less than 20,000, and we wanted to have somebody who was below the median to represent our lower income folk in deciding how the money would be distributed. She participated as well. So the issues that we discussed, I can get into later if any of y'all ask. They're still open. One thing that we did advocate was that we do not favor a percentage up to a cap. That works to the disadvantage of pretty much everybody. That if we're not necessarily favoring a flat amount, which would be something over $500, same as it was for 23, but we want to front end load it a little bit so that our members at the lower end of benefit would it would be something meaningful to them, because as we all know, we had this massive response to our survey, and we know that the overwhelming challenges that are being faced day to day by those people and who are our members. So Potvin is going to take that, work up a few alternatives, come back and see exactly how much impact that is going to have financially. Any questions so far? All right, hearing none, we'll get up to the meeting that we had with the new chairman. Y'all are aware that that Homer Bryson, who is one of the 2 members appointed or elected by the rest of the board, he has been voted at the last meeting to be the new president.
Chairman.
Coincidentally, the other individual who's elected by the board was elected to be vice. I said president, didn't I? I meant chairman.
Here.
Okay. So
Frank
first-
Thatch will be the vice chair.
Frank Thatch, yeah. Particularly wanted Joseph with us because of his expertise on open meetings, but more importantly, because he has represented Mr. Bryson for at least two of his former state positions. So, Joseph, would you like to talk about your discussion with the open meetings?
Yeah, I think very fortunately we were able to raise the issue in a non-confrontational manner. And I thought it went very, very well. We just sort of talked about how strange it was that there's no emergency going on. There's no pandemic on a state or federal level yet. We're not having open meetings. And, you know, so we sort of threw that out and in a non-aggressive way and, you know, discussed it with Homer, and Jim Potvin sort of sat there quietly listening, and I think he got the message. So I thought it was a very good way of getting that across.
And I told Homer that had they just resumed regular order of meetings without, you know, doing this kind of hands-off, nobody would have thought much about it, and they would not have been inundated with hordes of people. But it's it was awfully strange that it appeared they did not want contact with the beneficiaries. So
Yeah, which is kind of strange since we're the ones, you know, who are the beneficiaries of what they're doing. And you know,
oh, it's not strange at all, not really, but
no, I mean, you know, for the casual observer from the
Yeah.
outside looking in, you know, this is very strange. They wouldn't want to let, you know, the people who they're quote representing come to their meetings.
yeah, well,
Absolutely. In fact, Joseph had him set up so well right at the beginning that he raised the issue for the rest of us. Homer did. So, I mean, outstanding work, outstanding on that. And we covered a pretty large waterfront on that, not just opening up the meetings to the public again, which to best I could tell, the decision was not going to be made until the August meeting, which means it's going to be closed one more time, which kind of not exactly what we would have preferred.
well, at their peril. I mean,
Yeah,
Indeed.
and Chuck,
We
I think
we
you're
also raised, and we didn't get any pushback on it. We didn't get any agreement either. Two other things. One is to conduct, well, both points were to conduct the board meetings like committee meetings are conducted in the General Assembly, which is one, there is some time period, and we advocated that it be a reasonably limited period. We don't want to go all night on these things, for the public to address issues that are relevant to the meeting. And two is that they be recorded and the recordings be archived where the public can access them. And again, he was open to considering that, at least. I don't know if they're going to go anywhere, but the ideas were out there. I think Chuck pushed for the public comment.
Yeah, and Homer, one thing, if I could say, you know, Homer, in the two times I represented him as corrections commissioner and then Homeland Security, in both of them, all of their meetings, there would be periods when the public could comment at those meetings. So Homer was very familiar with that, and he's the one that started, you know, really talking about it, which I thought was very good.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Any questions on that issue? Okay, next we talked, of course, about the under 45 disability. And I raised the question, how is it that those members of the 3 other plans administered by the ERS board are eligible for COLAs, but the ones in the ERS plan are not? And frankly, I'm concerned that the board might be open to, they might be vulnerable for some legal challenge on that, and I'd hate to see that. Got to ride with what I have, right? And they said, well, they consider that too. Jim said, well, we need to know how much it costs, and we totally agreed. And would you please go ahead and make those calculations, so we'll see what happens and what impact that might have on COLAs for everybody else. I wouldn't even call it back of the envelope. It's like the inside of the envelope. I did some calculations that if there are as many as 1,000 of those members, which I can't imagine, under 45 on disability, that might reduce the flat. If we had another across the board, it might reduce it by $10 total for the year.
Ken's position is that they implemented the age restriction in order to, quote, make the funds go as far as they would, which that doesn't really resonate with me, but that's what he said.
And since, Jim didn't have any numbers, which
Right.
He always does on everything else, you got to wonder how much analysis was done to come to that conclusion.
But that's a relatively recent policy change for them too. That age limitation only went into effect last April.
Last year, yeah, in 22.
Yeah.
So that led us to talk in general about COLAs and funding. And during the course of that, Jim Potvin made the comment, he wouldn't turn down additional money, didn't say so much to make a distribution to us, but he did say, and which he has said previously, that the House seems sympathetic to at least annual adjustments. The Senate, not so much. By the way, I found out what Jim thinks the annual adjustments are. This is what he thinks that the House has in mind, but it's not really defined anywhere. These are not COLAs, not accumulating COLAs. That annual adjustment, the 27 million, that would be included as continuation somehow, and I'll talk about that in a second. But it would only be that amount. For example, if it was, and this is not at all settled, it was another $500 across the board, our benefits would be raised $500 next year, and that same $500 carried forward. There would not be an additional 27 million 2 years from now and a third additional 27 million 3 years from now. It's just a one-time COLA, but it's not a bonus because it doesn't go away. It would stay, that one amount would stay with us forever. Everybody understand that? Oh, so
They've made it unnecessarily complicated to administer, in my opinion, but that's just me.
Yeah, they certainly do. I think it's contributing to that is they're getting different opinions from leadership, and I don't know they're getting much direction from the governor at all, other than not spending money. So this is an area we need to work on. I'm going to be getting back in touch with Chuck. I think we need to get on moving on meeting with and maybe getting our membership involved with, try and get to the governor or Bohannon or Dove or with Senator Hickman, who it's interesting that Jim says the direction of the Senate is less certain than in the House, but we got Senator Hickman, who we know is a strong ally and a close friend of Jimmy DeLoach. We certainly want to get with Tillery, who seems to be an obstacle, and also Chairman Williams. And so it was reported yesterday, I think, Madam Chair, you distribute, or President, I get Chair and President.
It's okay.
Stuff about that. The state ended the year, I think 0.1% less than last year, but that was still good for a $5 billion help me with this. Surplus, thank you, $5 billion surplus. Tillery has made statements that he does not want to commit to ongoing cost. This may suggest an avenue to move down at you, Dr. Somerville, on your assertion, let's try and beef up the funded liability as best we can to get up over that 80% hump. We get over the 80%, that will double the amount of COLA that we would get out of the formula. So that may be, I need to be reminded as to how much money that's going to take. It'll certainly be at least $1 billion.
It's
You remember what that figure was?
Jim Potvin said initially he told me it was around 1.3 or about 1.3 billion, but he says it's closer now to about 1.5 billion.
That sounds
Yeah.
about right.
Yeah, it keeps, the cost goes up the longer we go.
Chuck,
And just to clarify, that Blake Tillery is the chairman of the Senate Appropriations Committee, for people who aren't accustomed to hearing names thrown
Yeah, sorry
around.
about that.
That's okay. Sorry, Jim, please go ahead.
no, I had a question, Chuck, when you were talking about what Potvin said about the this $27 million that the House is interested in having appropriated each year, the Senate not so much. You made it sound, at least the way I heard you say it, it was different what I thought Jim talked about in our conversation. And that is, you indicated that it would be the $500 would stay there, and there'd be another 500 the next year, but it wouldn't be subject to the COLA. So is he saying that, for example, say your annual benefit is $10,000 and you get $500 bonus, then the next year your annual payout will be $10,500. If we got a 3% COLA, though, the COLA would only apply to the $10,000 and not the 500.
That's the way I heard it.
If we're talking about two pots of money right now. So I did not say that, Jim. So, but I might have implied it.
Now, I wasn't at the meeting, unfortunately.
Okay.
I went at
Yeah,
the meeting.
yeah, understood.
With
And by the
Homer,
way,
so-
$500 was for example only. That's still a very open issue.
Yes, I know.
And we might go a different route.
But,
Okay,
but
so
when we
we
had
got
the phone
80
call about how to best allocate the 27 million in FY24, I thought that he said it would be, you know, there would be no there would be no carryover in the annual payout. You would get the $500 bonus, or whatever it is. Let's just say 500 for this year, and there'd be another 27 million in FY25 for another $500 bonus. But the
Yes, but
$500,
it would not be additive.
Yes, it would not be additive. And what I understood you just to say sounded like it was going to be additive, but not apply to the COLA.
Hold the COLA thought for a second, but I apologize for any misunderstanding.
No, I just want to make it clear.
But
'cause
what he said, what he understands is potentially there'd be the 27 million in every year from this point forward. And then that would be distributed every year, independently of whatever else was happening for a COLA.
Okay, that's what I understand.
Yeah, it would. Now, at the meeting we had, I think it was at the meeting we had with him, but it might have been another discussion that I had. He's talking about that showing up as a separate line item, which is, as you all know, you know, it's like taking a spear through the heart, because if it shows up as a separate line item, then it's really, really vulnerable for to be discontinued. You know, we would certainly advocate that he include it in the ADEC. On the other hand, if we include it in the ADEC, we may be running into other issues,
Right.
which is it might be subject to the formula, which we don't want. There are a lot of issues that, and I hope those are going to be addressed, you know, by this working group as we move forward. But anyway, my understanding was that once we get that money in fiscal 24, that a COLA in fiscal 25 would include that. Maybe it wouldn't. It wouldn't be a significant amount, but still, you know, it would be nice to have. So that's an open issue as I see it. Does that make sense, Jim? Do you see it any different?
Well, it does. I just, I don't.
I don't think they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm not sure it is as open as you think it is. But that's we'll have to see as it moves forward.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's something we need to find out. Okay, I'd say, you know, both meetings were very cordial. Seems like we're making some progress on them. And that's as much as I got. Anybody, any other questions?
Well, first, are we sure that David Dove is still in his position?
He's still listed on the governor's website.
Okay.
He's doing
But
both.
I think he's, you know, he's taken this other job at
Yeah.
interim, but the press release. Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
No, he's actually doing both.
Yeah.
He's on an interim basis with the EPD, but he is still the legislative counsel to the governor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we haven't.
Does anybody know Rick Dunn?
No, that was my next.
Well, I have met him once, and he
Okay.
recognized my name, but he wasn't EPD director. I had retired 2 years before he became EPD director. So I did not serve under him, and so, but I just met him one time at a retirement party, and that's about the extent.
So Rick Dunn is the new OPB guy.
Now,
Yeah.
I could reach out to David Dunn and ask a favor to see if he could let me know how I go about getting a meeting with Rick Dunn. I can do that.
Well, he may not be as loath to meet as Kelly Farr always. I mean, we never got anywhere with Kelly Farr.
Yeah.
So, well, that
Because,
whatever you move to do, Jim.
Yeah, I'll send David an email and congratulate him and see if he can help us in that,
Okay.
get with Rick Dunn. I mean, I don't know much about him, Rick Dunn, but I met him just once, like I said, but
Right.
I'll do that
Okay.
and we'll see.
Very good. I noticed from his, the governor's bio on him that one of the highlights of his career is he served as chairman of the Georgia Occupational Regulation Review Council. I too chaired that council and served as alternate chair for many years as well. So not a hugely time taking position, but if he thinks it was important, I'm sure I can relate to it.
All right.
A question, Chuck and Beverly.
Mhm.
Was there any response or discussion by Potvin or Mr. Bryson about the proposed separate law enforcement
yeah.
retirement system?
We discussed that. We discussed
Yeah,
that.
go ahead, Joseph. There wasn't, I'm sorry, I passed on that.
Yeah, we discussed that at length about what effect it could have. And one of the things that was interesting, Potvin said that this would continue to keep law enforcement people in ERS. They wouldn't be setting up actually a separate system. So he was suggesting that it would not have particularly a negative impact on ERS as far as the rest of us. You know, if a big hunk was eliminated, in other words, he's saying nothing's going to be eliminated. It would just be something added for which there would have to be some sort of pay-in.
And I think they're doing the actuarial study now.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I felt a little better about it after hearing that.
Mhm.
Well, not completely happy with it, but we'll see.
Well, I wasn't quite as optimistic. I mean, he did say again that he thinks it's going to be expensive,
Mhm.
which means it's going to draw down it's going to need more employer contribution, i.e. state funds,
Mhm.
to at a minimum stabilize the funded liability of the pension fund. And so I made the same statement I keep making, is that we could support that so long as prior obligations are funded first.
Mm.
And so we won't really have a position until November, I don't think, which is when the actuary's report is expected to be completed.
All right.
Yeah, the problem is they're dealing with a $5 billion surplus.
Yeah,
This thing
that's a
comes
hell of a
back,
problem to
It
have.
says it could cost 3 million, or 3 billion. You know, they could put that 3 billion in there from the surplus. My concern is, I was wondering, what did Homer say about it? Because, you know, he's head of a police officer's retirement. Did he have anything from his standpoint to say about it, or was it all Potvin?
No, Homer spoke a little bit about it in his POAG. I think that
Yeah,
that Homer.
Well, I asked him who was advocating for this, and he backed off of it, said it was our friend Bill Hitchens, who, by the way, I think we need to talk to and get his thoughts on it.
Mhm.
Bill Hitchens, former GSP, actually Department of Public Safety Commissioner,
Another one of my
probably
clients.
GSP commander also.
yeah. My concern is he's heading this committee, and
Right.
and you know that if they have to split it off, they're split it off with a COLA. Is whatever they do for the state patrol, there's going to be a COLA involved. Because he said in that opening statement, he said that the retirement is nowhere what it was when I retired.
Right.
So he wants to get it back to where it was when he retired, which meant a 3% COLA. And
Well,
if they have to split it off to get it done, they will do it. And they'll use a surplus to do it because public safety is their political money, milk, because they get elected saying they back the blue,
Mhm.
and they're
Yeah.
going to screw the rest of us.
That's the big concern. Now, one thing I did ask Homer about was whether corrections officers were included, and the answer was no, which is big because compared to state patrol or GBI or anything like that, the corrections numbers are
Yeah,
huge.
they would
I thought that
include,
would bankrupt the whole system.
yeah, and it'd be the motor carriers would probably be included. Public,
Did see that.
yeah.
I
So I
don't
mean,
think so.
this is you know, I don't like the fact that Podvan is relying on it being too expensive, because they're just figure out a way to do it.
Right.
And you know, I think we got to get to kitchens. And I thought Chuck Clay said he was going to talk to him at some of these lobbyists get-togethers that they do over the summer. So
I
I'm
think you're right.
hoping that he's gotten us some feedback on Hitchens, and we have the opportunity to have some input, because this thing's going to get out of hand quickly.
I mean, that they're even doing it is
Yes.
that's out of hand to me, but okay. Is anything else on I mean, obviously it seems, you know, we've talked to people and don't know a whole lot more than we knew. I mean, I think it's fair to say that there's still more information we need, but does it, Mr. Jolie, you were going to say?
Well, I think we probably ought to have a meeting with Hitchens. I think it's time, and just to see where Bill is. And again, Bill's another one that I represented when he was head of the State Patrol and Department of Public Safety. So, we just need to find out, and make sure he is aware that he could be basically screwing the employees' retirement system, while helping a small group of people.
Point of
My sense
information,
is they don't
his
really care.
office is,
Well, I don't know if they care or not. That's why I think it'd be good for him to
Right.
know that we care and
Make them look us in the face.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are you selling us down the river here and for the benefit of a small group of people
Right.
at our expense? And,
Right.
The answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
right,
Politicians do that all the time.
Full
Right.
throated.
and
Yeah.
what we want to do is say, we don't like that bill,
Right.
Yeah. It's like Governor Kemp says, he can criticize the federal government for picking winners and losers in the economics. Well, they do that all the time, and the winner is the Georgia State Patrol, and the loser is the rest of state government, state
Right.
employees.
well,
I see it coming.
yep.
So we need to get the kitchens as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And just by the way, his office is next door to John Carson's.
Mm.
If that has any relevance.
That's proximity, so that's always relevant. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anything, does anyone else have questions for the folks who were in the room?
Let's say I'll just make a comment. Let's say on June 30th, I did find the I guess the one-time bonus. I think my bank was $531. Did
Right.
everybody else find some money in their bank account?
Absolutely.
And then seems there's a lot of confusion still among our members and retirees. As I understand it, we're going to see another 0.5% COLA or benefit adjustment with our check in about 2 weeks, the end of this month. But there's a lot of confusion with folks about that. I think the talk about the FY24 and the 27 million being put on hold, I think that's created a lot of confusion. We may want to just put like a little banner in our newsletter, updating folks just on checking their bank accounts and that kind of thing.
I'd love to do that. I'm not sure what to say that wouldn't contribute further to the confusion. I mean,
Well, I was going to say that ERS had a wonderful explanation on their website.
They did.
That
So
was
we can refer
totally
them to that.
confusing.
Yes.
Okay, great.
So, all right, newsletter. We may just excerpt that and put it in the newsletter. So, okie doke.
All right, well, sound like we had a productive month on the some positive meetings, and it's good that we've been invited to participate in a working group, at least for the discussions for the, how to do the whether it's a one-time bonus or
Right.
permanent adjustment, and then whether the percentage and all that. Like I said, it looks like what we got this on June 30th. That was just a flat amount that everybody got, which that does benefit, particularly those on the lower end of the
Right.
Yeah, the benefit amount.
Yeah.
And
Percentage-wise,
actually-
would be better.
Actually, Maggie Williams, who was the beneficiary who sat in with us, made a pretty good point that for people with the lower benefit amounts, getting that lump sum supplement is more impactful than, say, a percentage, that's compounding, because you can plan. If you've got $500 coming in and you need new glasses, you can plan for it. So there are reasons why people like the flat one time, because they can count on it. They can see a change in their bottom line. Whereas a 0.5%, it's going to take about 4 years, I think we calculated, to make any substantial difference in the benefit level.
Yeah, absolutely. And Beverly, since the issue has been raised, we've talked about the flat across the board as opposed to percentage in the past. Given we don't know what the distribution of benefits is for our members as a whole.
Right.
We do know that it's probably bell shape around 20,000 for all members. But for those of us who are mostly, if not exclusively, on the high end of the benefit, I want to make sure, I would like to make sure that everybody here is comfortable about weighing it somewhat more down towards the lower end, where they need the most help the quickest. We're just talking about the 27 million now, not the ongoing COLAs.
Right.
Is anybody not comfortable with that? Just want to make sure when we start, when we resume our talks with Potvin, we're not getting ahead of the rest of the group and espousing.
Don't understand compounding. I tried to explain it to a couple of members, and like you say, they see $500 as a bigger increase for them than a percentage.
Right.
They don't
I'm just saying.
understand about the cumulative impacts, and
Right.
so I tried to explain that to a couple of my chapter members.
Well, right now, we don't have any compounding. It's just, a one-time benefit, and this is where it gets confusing, that is given to us annually. So it's not really one time, but it doesn't build on itself, and it doesn't compound. So Okay, I think we got our answer on that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And I think too, when we see some numbers from Potvin, some scenarios,
Right.
it'll certainly help me to visualize. And yes, Sam, it is hard to explain. Thank you for trying.
Can I say one thing?
Of course.
And then I know we're moving on, but to show you what we're dealing with Jim Potvin. When that money was put in a supplemental budget, 27 million, he initially was going to grant it after July 1st, but he said, I remember him telling us this, that after talking to the senators and representatives, they wanted to get the money out as fast as possible. Do you remember him saying that? When
We
did he
do.
get it out? When did he get it out? He got it out the last day of the year.
The fiscal year.
It's like saying, I run this show. I control things. You don't tell me when you don't put your nose in my business. And that's the way he deals with us.
Yeah.
You have to
Fair enough.
understand, he's going to do it his way. And if it doesn't meet what we want, that's tough luck. But he did that the last friggin' day of the time. So, he showed who's boss with that. I was considering asking the association to send out a blast to all their representatives and senators complaining that the money hasn't been delivered yet. But I said, well, I don't want to get in a pissing contest with Potvin.
Well, we can always, up the game, but.
Well, that goes back to what he said to us, Chuck, about this 27 million in the FY24 budget, that he doesn't want to do anything with it until next April.
Yeah, and by the way, the same thing, he's made it abundantly clear with the under 45 disability.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to address it until next April.
Yeah, say everything. It's on his.
Which is crap.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
let me ask, this is Joy. Let me ask a question. So
Yes.
does some of his attitude with the fiscal 2024, does that have to do with what the governor said? Like other words, put a screeching halt on everything. So I feel like I wondered whether or not Jim took that as saying, you know what, the governor's given me permission that I don't have to follow what these legislators say, that I'm going to do what I want to do. And that's kind of the attitude I think he has.
Yes. The other thing that he said was he was concerned that the money would be clawed back in the mid-year budget because of the economic downturn. Well, that's not happened.
That old dog.
No, not
So
with a $5 billion surplus.
he could do it in August if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to do it in a schedule that deviates from what they normally do. This
Right.
is what we do in April. Anything with benefits, we do it in April. So yeah, he runs the
Well,
show.
Actually, the board could change that.
We have been offered the opportunity to get in front of the board in October or December. I think we probably want to send an acceptance for both October and December. And depending on where this working group is at the time, we can then advocate that the board add it to an agenda either December or January and go ahead and get the money out. And then it's back on their side of the court. Excellent points there, Jim.
I wonder, and Joseph can probably answer this question, but I wonder, is there a procedure, or should there be a procedure where a beneficiary or a member of the ERS system can submit some potential something for the board's consideration, and they have to consider it and discuss it?
No,
No,
No. We, in fact, the two missives that Beverly has sent to the board,
Yeah,
in April and June, both requested to add items to the agenda. And they didn't refuse, they just didn't do it.
yeah, and I guess there's no legal reason.
But I think their agendas, most that I have seen, have got, I don't know if that includes ours. We got a section for old business, and then you got a section for new business.
but I think Joseph is the attorney, but my understanding of the open meetings statute is you have the right to be there in some form or fashion. It does not give you the right to speak. There is no right to be heard, just to be present.
just openness of meetings, not necessarily participation in.
Right.
Well, I wasn't thinking about from the Open Meetings Act part of it. I was just thinking as the members impacted, if there was some provision that we could submit a request to the board and they'd have to consider it.
No, there's nothing that does that. And with most
Okay.
of the boards, for example, with this board, it says they have a duty and the power to operate the system.
Right.
period.
All right. Thank you, Joseph.
Nice try, Jim.
Unfortunately, that's the answer.
Yeah.
That's one thing on a positive note, talking about the surplus for the $5 billion state surplus for this year that just ended. And then I guess since the legislative session a few months ago, it seems just the broad economic news is looking up. I saw that inflation year over year was just reported at 3% from this June to last June. And 12 months ago it was 9%. So inflation's coming down, and then seemed like we were seeing a lot of predictions about a recession on the horizon. It seems like those fears are subsiding somewhat. That with
Not if you're Blake Tillery, he still sees a recession looming. So, yeah. But you're right, Dan, the facts are quite contrary to the attitudes about what's going on. And the spin will continue. It will continue to be spun as dire times. We're going to run out of money any minute now. We can't possibly do this. So.
Well, then I see the state news where there's groundbreakings here, there, and yonder on the new electric vehicle plant,
right?
That kind of thing. So, like I say, it looks like that. There are a lot of positive things to be optimistic about.
It's like I did tell Homer and Jim. I've just made my little, one of my little sayings that, we've been through about 30 years of fiscal policy that's very tax averse. And so what's the first thing Blake Tillery wants to do? He wants to do tax refunds, rebates. But I said, we think that when it comes to state government, and small government is better too. We all know that. The taxpayers of whom we are a part, taxpayers should get what they pay for. But I said, the second part of that is they should pay for what they get. And the pension funding issue that has been kicked down the road for about 25, 30 years. It's hell to pay, but they need to pay up. So I got my little dig in. And it's kind of like, yeah. But I do believe that there is a debt owed because our retirement was predicated on a certain set of circumstances. So, well, that's enough from me. We've been at legislative for right about an hour. Is there anything else of note or urgency? Okay. Then thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Jim and Joseph, for your contributions today. Okay, Rhonda, would you care to present Harold's reports?
Okay, well, Harold had the nerve to take a vacation, so I don't know what we're gonna do about him. But he did send me these local chapter budgets that need to be approved. And we've got the Augusta chapter, Northeast Metro chapter, Northwest Georgia chapter. So the ones in red, the board needs to approve these. These are new chapter budgets. And the Savannah Coastal chapter just had a change in their amount. I don't think that has to be approved. It was just they added some postal.
A line item shift.
It's a line item shift, yes. But the others do need to be approved.
Okay. And I thank Clara, and I don't know if anybody is here from Northeast Metro or Northwest Georgia. That's Janet Brown, but I thank Clara, and Clara is shown as the treasurer, but she is the president. And Clara, I don't remember, is it Martin is your treasurer?
Yes, Beverly Martin.
Beverly Martin is the treasurer. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for preparing the budget. And so is there any discussion?
I move
So,
we
ma'am.
approve the local budget.
Thank you.
I second it.
Thank
I
you.
said-
All right. All in favor of approving 3 local budgets, please say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, I take it. Thank you so much. Go forth and do good, y'all. That's great. Now, Rhonda, was there anything else about the financials that we were going to do today?
No, he didn't have any other financial reports, so.
Okay, so we'll have to let the record show that other financials were not available. Okay. And Alan has left the call, so, and we are recording, so, and I'm trying to take some notes. Okay. I did not see Laura on the call today. Is she
She's
with
here.
us?
Yeah.
Okay,
Here.
all right.
Here she is.
Well,
I've just been quiet, but I've been here.
you have been quiet. You've been jogging all over the great Western states. Yeah, beautiful out there.
Rhonda and I both were able to get a vacation, so I guess we can't be too mad at Harold.
We
No,
cannot,
not at
we
all.
cannot.
Not at all. Harold's grandson is graduating from his not naval supply school, but his basic training in the Navy. So
Oh, that's awesome.
it is. It really is. So, okay. I think we got that. So annual meeting update, and Laura, I don't think Kip's on the line, so you can just go for it, and then we'll let Joy bring us up to date on her related issue.
Okay, thank you. We are mostly done. We did have a couple little changes on the program, which I reported on last month. And Clay Teague has stepped up and has offered to do 2 workshops for us. So we're really happy about that. And that'll cover, that'll take out the square dancing and the one about the police officers that was going to do the identity theft. They are not going to be able to do it the day we needed them, which was Columbus Day. And I was not able to, I was trying, anyway, it doesn't matter. I was trying to shift some workshops to see if maybe they could do it on Tuesday, but that didn't work out. But Clay is offered to do that, so we're real happy about that. And then AARP has actually asked if they could do something similar to that. And I said, well, let me see what I can work out for another offering. So I'm not sure, but our workshops are full. I finally heard back yesterday from Columbus State, from the jazz band, because they had initially said they would help us, and then it just went silent. And then Alan talked with a friend of his who said most of the time the professors just don't check their email in the summer.
Mm.
And so I did get a follow-up yesterday with the person, my initial contact, and she's putting me in touch with the director of the jazz band.
Okay.
So we're waiting, but that looks hopeful. Josh Carson is plan B.
Okay.
And let's see, the only thing I'm waiting on, I will need to make one more trip back to Columbus to finalize what room, which workshop will go in which room, so I can plug that into the agenda.
Mhm.
The draft agenda is completed. I'm waiting on, I need Clay's bio, photo, and workshop review, but everybody else's I've gotten. So it's just a matter of finalizing the agenda once we know which room is going to be where. We have our opening speakers, and we had the video secured for, or the commitment for the video from Jim Potvin.
Okay. All right.
And so in other words, at this point in time, I've really done everything I can do at this time.
Right.
But I'm trying to stay on top of the reservations. And Rhonda, do you know how many registrations we have today?
Yes, as of this morning, 73.
So we really hadn't come up that much.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, I guess we can go one more time with some content in the newsletter
Yeah.
I mean, I think we probably just have to do that
Yeah.
until the final.
What was our late registration date, Laura? Was it September the 15th? Something that sounds about right.
I think so. Hold on one second. I've got it. I've got so many windows open. Let me get to that.
So I feel like we got, almost.
It's the, we had early registration through the 9th,
Okay, so we
September 9th,
months basically.
1 month in advance.
Can you also go ahead and do another push email to all the members that have emails?
We'll send an email to Kevin and let him know. I'd say probably even maybe 2 more before the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think one pretty soon would be good, just to give a reminder.
I feel like
Right.
we probably get a late push because people just put off until, making sure they don't have anything else to come up. So I'm expecting, we had I think last year was 120 something, Laura. And
I think
we had
so.
I think we registered about 25, somewhere between 25 and 30 on site. So
At the place, I
Yeah.
know.
Walk-ups,
yeah,
people who, walk-ups.
But I'm hoping, really like to avoid that as far as just thinking of our catering and stuff like that. I'd really, I would like for everybody to go ahead,
Yeah.
but we'll take them if they
Yeah.
come. That's
Yeah.
fine.
I would suggest maybe in the newspaper highlighting some extra activities that they can do, or either on Sunday or Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yes, and we have put in, we've got an optional tour of the Springer Opera House. And I think that was in the newsletter the last time, but I'll have to go back and look again. And then some of the people from the Columbus chapter were going to send some suggestions for some other things.
Yeah.
So I have, I don't have it, but that would be awesome too. And we can add that in the newsletter.
Maybe we can look some of those things up. So,
is Gloria Coker, is she with us today? I don't think so.
she's here. And thank you, BJ. No, I think Judy said she's traveling. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I got 4 tickets from Coca-Cola Space Science Center in Columbus, and I guess maybe she was getting for door prizes, Laura. I don't know.
Yeah.
I emailed her and didn't.
Yes, she
Okay.
probably is, because we did talk about 2 weeks ago, I think.
Okay.
And she said she was going to start, and I told her that I normally in August, I hate to do it too soon, because people just have to get stuff and hold on to it.
Right.
But I will send something out. I may just go ahead and do it to all the chapter presidents to please go ahead and start with the door prizes.
Well, I've got those. If you want to put that on your list, it came to our PO box.
Okay, thank you. If you don't mind, will you email me that? I'll forget.
Yeah,
what
I
it
will.
was.
Yeah.
I'm trying to write, I'll try to keep a list once I get things in.
Hi, Laura. This is Judy. We met and we have started gathering things for our the door prizes.
Oh, great. Thank you,
Yes.
Judy.
Mhm.
Well, I will get something out either this week or next week. I may not wait till August. I'll just go ahead and do it. I think last year I waited, but we'll get it out to residents.
All right. Okay. And so just to recap, we do ask each chapter to contribute something for door prizes, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Joy, I know you needed to talk about.
Yeah, well, the only thing I wanted to bring up about the bags was, I know in the past that we've gotten together when we did the legislative bags, but I wasn't sure if Laura and or Rhonda were going to need any help to put the bags together for the annual meeting. So, you know, if they did, I wondered when, I'm sorry,
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
Joy. Thank you. I appreciate you offering that. We don't do swag like we did. I know when we did the legislative event, we had that work day because we gave the coolers and we gave some things away. So that was really helpful. But you know, what we did last year was I got the bags from the Chamber of Commerce in Cordele, which had some stuff in them. And then we just added things the night before. I think it was me, Rhonda, Kip, Allen, Rhonda, I don't remember who else, somebody else helped. And we just kind of put whatever was left because we didn't really have swag or anything like that to do. But I am all about having a planning day. That's fine with me.
Yeah, well, you know, just be aware that, you know, if there's something that's needed, you know, some of us can definitely help.
Well, we still have a lot of bags from, I'm sorry, my mind is blank. I don't think it was Anthem. Maybe it was. Rhonda, you know which ones I'm talking about? They look like they have fruit all over them. They're nice bags though. They're nice reusable bags for just, you know, anything, groceries, that kind of
Tote
stuff
bag.
or whatever.
Mhm.
But we have quite a few of them. I don't know if we're going to, depending on how many people register, but I know there's well over 100 in there. I know there are. So I think we have enough of those already that we just already have and we need to use.
Are you going to reach out to the chamber there and see about bags or anything, Laura?
I did reach out to them. They are not going to do bags for us. They're sending, you know, they're going to send somebody to welcome us. And they are doing some door prizes. I'm not sure what they are yet, but she said they did commit to do 3 or 4 door prizes.
Well, you know, some of our local
I'm sorry.
Some of our local chapters may also want to just give us something to put in bags. Maybe, I don't know, something about their area, some kind. You know, so
one of the things I was going to also suggest was the possibility of reaching out to the Welcome Center there on Williams Road in Columbus. It is a state welcome center, but sometimes they can provide you quite a bit of good information and bags and things like that too. So that might be another possibility.
Okay, I will, because I would like to get brochures and things like that, maybe for local, as BJ said, some local things that are going on.
Recreational, yeah.
So thank you. I'll try to find, I'll look up the Welcome Center in Columbus.
Okay.
All righty. Let's see, next is board committee structure options. And I did send kind of, in my mind, it was sort of a just-in-time document for y'all to read and ponder yesterday, because I had just found it myself. But as we talked last month, I have done some research and found that, you know, there seems to be a trend of going to fewer, basically no standing committees, or just 3 basic overarching areas of committee work. And I shared some graphics last time that explains how the current responsibilities kind of fall into either internal or external operations, plus a governance function, which is technically in most organizations, that's board oversight, board accountability. We don't really do a lot with that. Board evaluation. But it could also fall to a governance committee to provide review and revision of bylaws and policies as the need arose. And there also is in the literature made mention of an executive committee. I always thought we had one, but we don't. It's not addressed. And I am not sure that we need one. I mean, even if we weren't to make any changes, I'm not sure we need an executive committee, because we typically have not had situations arise that couldn't be handled through electronic meetings, when board action was needed in an interim period. So that's just my perspective on it. But I wondered if y'all had time to read and think, and what do you think of do you think, is there any benefit to simplifying how we structure the work of the board? Would you be more inclined to want to take on a work group or a task force type participation if you knew it wasn't going to be forever and it was sort of more task focused with a specific goal in mind? And right now we have a communications committee, which is Jay, as the newsletter editor. And those of us who contribute, I don't consider it, I'm on that committee, but, and as board chair. Thanks, Chuck. Bye. As board chair, one typically has oversight over all committees anyway. Oh my goodness. Crickets.
No, I agree with you. I think, fewer committees is probably better than a lot of committees. I was on the legislative committee years ago, but never knew when they met. So,
yeah.
So simplifying it, I believe an executive committee would be in order, especially during the legislative session when an opportunity pops up, and we get the opportunity to do a lunch with key legislators rather than having to poll everybody. If an executive committee was empowered to make those kinds of decisions, as long as it was less than a certain monetary amount. And a majority of the executive committee agreed to it.
And since you mentioned budget decisions, and Harold's not here, that makes the strong case to defer action on that particular point until we can hear from Harold. I do think, we don't do fundraising, but my thought is just the organization of internal and external. is helpful, because if you choose, you would be on one or the other. There would be some crossover. People would be working together on some things.
I
But
guess our legislative is sort of, what's an external, we call our legislative committee.
yes,
But basically, that's what we do as external.
and in my mind, legislative work, membership development, chapter support, marketing, programs and special events like Laura works on, communications and education. To me, that is external. And the internal would be IT, data, social media management, budget and finance, admin, and that would be Rhonda's membership administration and contracts and personnel. And I'm not suggesting that P&O goes away. It's just a different framework for how we use our member talents and resources. And I particularly prefer a more task-oriented approach, such that you don't stand a committee up until you have something that it needs to do, and then you can articulate what the group needs to do. Now with legislative, and I'm tying this back to our strategic plan. We've got two major areas of concentration: legislative advocacy and membership growth. So you've got internal and external, and they do overlap. So well,
is that something that we would need to look at as far as with our bylaws too?
It would require an amendment, a revision to the bylaws, and that's the reason I've started talking about it this early, because we would need to do the bylaws, the proposed change, so that it could be addressed at the annual meeting.
Okay. Well, this is Joy. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to sign off.
Okay.
And I appreciate everything that everybody's doing. Well, thank you so very much.
Well, thank you, Joy, and thanks for your time today. So, other than Robert, I'm not hearing a whole lot of enthusiasm for this, and thanks, Robert. Would it help if I drafted?
Apparently, this is BJ.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, but I haven't looked at anything you have submitted on the board structure. I mean, I will look at it and send you either some recommendations or some thoughts.
Okay.
And if the board chooses to go forward with it, I of course will help with any bylaws changes that you would see fit.
Okay. All right. Well, I accept your offer. Thank you so much. So that tells me that this is still an active issue, but not ready for action or decision making today. So, BJ, when you have thoughts to share, thank you. I will gladly receive them. Okay. Board nominations. Again, we're trying to get a little bit ahead of the schedule this year. We've got I can't find it. We've got Melissa, who is coming off the board. She's actually resigning because she has accepted a job with the federal government. And Macon Bibb will nominate Bob Lucas for a board position. And there will be 2 more at-large board positions to fill. And I'm casting my eyes around because I had my little cheat sheet in front of me that tells me who was coming, who was rolling off. And I can't find it. I believe Sadie and here we go. Yeah. So 2022-23 were Melissa, Marlene Autry, and Joy Evans. So at the end of this year, those 3 terms will be up. And 23 going into 24 are Judy, Dan, and Sadie. So we will have the 1 nomination for Bill Lucas. And it doesn't hurt if you have more nominees than you have positions. That's not a problem. And I had asked chapter folks to be looking around and seeing if there are people whom you might think, or yourself included, would be a good fit for the board. Any thoughts? That's,
I think it's good to get an early start and be,
yeah.
Get,
Well, and if your term is ending and you would like to stand again, that's fine too. But we need to know that. We need to be able to put a slate together.
I don't remember from the last newsletter, have we put anything in there about that yet?
No.
Maybe,
yeah,
throw something in there about start thinking about, your willingness to serve kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or
stepping up for one's civic duty. Okay. Thank you. I will see what I can come up with. And it would be probably helpful to have a president-elect. And we typically, Robert's the first one in a while. So if anybody currently in an at-large position would like to move into president-elect, I'd love to know it. And I'm sure Robert would too. And I'm just assuming that Harold will want to continue, and I'm hoping Alan will want to continue in their roles, but we can always have more candidates. So, okay. That's that. Rhonda, can we do the membership report and then take a brief comfort break?
Okay,
Okay.
here we go. All right. So we had 29 new members in the month of June, which was up, just a little bit from April and May, but a good bit from last June. So it's a steady little climb. We are still growing a little each month with our membership. Our pension deduction, as you can see, is up to $1,055 now. So that
excellent.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's
good work.
Yeah. So other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory. We've got 2 new lifetime members in June, and I think I've had 1 in July.
Okay.
Yep.
Good job.
One of the things I find interesting about this is the fact that although we're in a group that is dead-ended, basically, by the change in pension laws, we are continuing to grow. And I think it's a result of our activities. People know we're doing stuff. I have people ask me frequently, it's great what you people are doing. And
I have to agree. A lot of my phone calls lately have been about the COLA and the check and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But so many compliments that they know that they have a voice with us. And so I think that, keeps people.
Yeah, we're actually
Yeah.
doing something, and
Something,
we're
right.
raising whatever issues are relevant at the time, and dealing with things as much as possible. And I think that's wonderful, because for a while, a few years ago, I thought, the numbers would just diminish. I remember, when we were under 5,000, and I thought we're never going to get to 5,000, because why would people who aren't already there, why would they be joining? And the answer is they're joining
Right.
because they're seeing something from this board and from the organization. And I think that's, wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, the pension deduction raffle, I think, was just great. That push, you can see how we went up from last year to where we are. And, people just forget about it. So they just stay members because we don't know how to stop it, and they don't know how to they don't ask how to stop it. So anyway, I thought that's great too.
When we need to find out, we will, huh?
Yeah, we will. We definitely
Yeah.
will. And BJ's on, so she can tell us if we have to do that. So.
Well, I thank you for all you do, Rhonda, to field calls and
Oh yeah,
deal with folks who are not happy. And I know Rhonda finds me grumpy sometimes when I get some of those comments, but oh boy. But yeah, we're good. We're doing well. Jim Potvin asked me a question the other day, and I sort of been, avoiding the issue, but he said, how many new members are you getting as a result of the opt-in report? And I said, I don't know, because we haven't been tracking it. I guess we could do a comparison of opt-in, new member from time to time. It would be laborious to do. But when we talk about the brochure, I think that's a category of how you heard about us that we probably should add.
Well, when I get calls or emails, from people saying I'm trying to join, but it says I'm already a member, I know that's the opt-in list, because it sets them up as a prospect.
Yeah.
And they always kind of, for some reason, there's a little glitch there. I don't really know, but I always figured that is the result of the opt-in.
Okay, that they get put into the prospect.
Yeah.
But they still haven't paid any dues necessarily.
Haven't paid any dues. They're just out there. And so when they try to join, though, their email is there, and that's a little confusing, but I think that's just the way it has to be. But anyway.
Is there something we need to do with Kevin to,
we talked about it. We probably should talk about it at some point again and just see if there's a different way we could do that. It is a little, it's not as user friendly as I wish it could be, but
is that on the member clicks side?
It is. Well, what it is they get a thing saying we want you to join, and when they go in to join, they're already somewhat set up in there.
Okay.
Their email's there, and they don't. I'm not sure why that's like that. Honestly, I guess it's just because they're out there's a prospect, but it can be a little confusing. But
then maybe when Kevin's back in place, the three of us and BJ, if BJ's available, we can talk about how better to do that. If anything is if there's something we can do.
Rhonda, does it not have to do with their user ID or setting up a password?
Well, what they're doing is they're trying to join, but it's saying that their email is already in there, but there's no password. So I can see where it would be confusing. I can see that. So, I mean, obviously I usually go in and it seems like when they try to reset their password, I get a lot, and this is something I need to mention to Kevin. I get a lot of people that say, I never got an email telling me that my password was reset. So I'll usually just manually reset it for them. But, and I do need to mention that to Kevin, because I don't know where those emails are going, but they don't seem to be getting it. But anyway,
well, that's no good.
Yeah.
You can't convert people to members whom you're not reaching. So
yeah, that's true.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Rhonda, as always. And okay. we've got Savannah, actually, Alan's group, the Coastal Postals, working hard. And I heard from Laura Elias recently. They're trying to get some print materials developed, and I
hate to interrupt, but I think they've got that done, because I did get a new membership yesterday on what they printed out, the pension deduction on one side and so I did get a new member, so they've sent some out.
Excellent. Well, they are setting the bar pretty high for chapter membership development, and I appreciate all that they are doing too. So that the next thing, unless Rhonda has any, or any of y'all have anything, I sent you a sort of a mock-up of the brochure of a concept. And I wondered if you all are ready to commit to that. We really need a new brochure. And like I said, I would like to add the category of on Rhonda, do you still have that in your files that you could pull up and let people see? It's just a 3-panel brochure. Just kind of streamlined. I don't know. I'm not sure I could find it right now. Does anybody have any suggestions on any further suggestions on the brochure? Gloria Coker had said the one change she recommended we make was on the inside panel. I don't know that you can actually see it. It's going to be backwards, but instead of saying our top priority, say our mission. And Rhonda, do we have somebody who can actually do a layout for us and convert it to an actual brochure?
I do. I can probably take it to the local printer that I've been using it. And I mean, I can certainly ask her and see. Is it on the screen yet? Can y'all see it?
I don't see it.
Okay, hang on. I found it. Let me just get it up there.
Okay.
Get the chat out of the way for some reason. How about now?
There we go.
Okay.
Got
All right.
Now I'm not seeing it.
Can't read it.
Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
You got it, Beverly?
Got it. I got it now.
Clear, a little better.
Yeah. So another question is cover art. That was, like I said, that was just a really poorly distorted picture from our last meeting, but the people tend to like to see people who look like them. So I could find some alternative art that wouldn't be any of us, but it would be representative. So.
Do you want me to just take this draft that we've got to her and see what I guess we could get some prices, because I believe before somebody down in Waycross did this, I believe, or.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well,
Yeah, that was a company down there that did it. I picked up a couple of brochures a couple of times down there.
Yeah, and I think Kip, when we were at Lake Blackshear, it seems like he picked up some on the way back or on the way there or something.
Right.
Yeah. One thing I noticed, we're not really emphasizing pension deduction and how easy that is on there.
Well, this is not something we can get everything in. That's what, to me, the problem with the previous content is it's too much. And but I will make a note, Sam, to see if I can work something in about that as a convenient option. And it would take an objection off the table of, make it easy, remove barriers to people joining. So I can probably work that out. But Rhonda, I'll make the changes and then I'll send you.
Okay. I think that was Yarbur's. I think it was Yarbur's printing service or something that
Okay.
kept. So we can, yeah, I will definitely just take it up here and see what she'll charge us to.
Okay.
She's normally cheaper than some of the other folks, but.
Right. And how many, when's the last time we printed these?
It was right before we did the 2-for-1, because we always have 2-for-1 on there. So it's been
2 years.
I'm saying it's been 2 or 3 years now. I have several, I have a box. I think I have one box that hasn't even been opened yet, maybe. I'm not sure. But I'll see if I can find a printing invoice to see how many we did last time. And
all right. Because I've had some chapter people say they'd like to get some updated brochures. That's the reason I'm kind of focused on it today.
Really like the watchdog verbiage in there. I think that's a really good thing.
Thanks. I was glad to find that, too, because I think it's true. And what I was kind of studying up on is that people, we've been hitting them with all the advocacy we've done. They don't really care about that. They want to know what they get. What do they get when they join? And that, to me, we are keeping an eye out on things. And so that is a selling point, I think. So
Beverly, this is David. Do you have a comment in the brochure about the number of members that we actually have, or do you think that would be interesting to people?
David, I think there are ways to, if we could let this be something that drives them to a website where we could do something on the website. You just can't get everything on a brochure. It clutters it up, and it doesn't, I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not sure what it does to draw people in.
Okay.
What does anybody else think? I'll try to,
Yeah.
And that's something that goes stale right quick, as membership picks up.
And I don't know whether somebody would be impressed that we have 5,500 members or not impressed because there are 50,000 retirees.
Yeah. But I think if we can get to the point where we can redesign the website, we can do a lot more out there.
Right now people think we're doing a lot. It's good.
What's that?
We are doing things because they're seeing it. That's why our numbers are going up.
Right.
What exactly those numbers are is sort of irrelevant. The view of us, I think, is positive among those who look at what we are doing.
Right. Definitely the legislators want to know how many people we have, but they're not the target for this brochure.
Right.
So there are other ways to inform them of that. Rhonda, also, we would like to know the turnaround time on production. I lost her. So as I understand it, Rhonda will actually get us some pricing. And I don't know how many brochures we need. You usually get a better rate for volume, so we'll see. And we've got
just kind of see, maybe I'll check with our printer and see where the cutoff is, and what, after you give me that one, we'll sort of see where we are.
Okay. All right. Does the board want to approve this, or do you want me to make some changes and come back to you one more time? I will make the changes. I will send it out to you.
Sounds good.
That
If
sounds
any-
like a good idea.
Okay, well, if anybody has any artwork that they think would work, that's probably not, that is an important part of it because it's what draws people in, so. Okay. It is it's 12:14. We've been going at it, so may we recess for about 15 minutes, come back at 12:30, and then we can probably wrap up.
And Beverly, I'm gonna have to sign off. To,
Okay, Joseph.
Go make my daily visits.
Of course. And Joseph, I apologize. I did not see that a call had come in from you the other day until this morning. So.
Oh, that's all right.
I'm sorry.
I talked to Chuck, so.
I apologize. Okay. All right. We'll be back at 12:30. Mm. Sadie, you're going to be the next one up on the agenda when we come back together. And you're muted. There you go. Nope. There you go. You're good. Okay. Well, there are a stalwart 17 of us hanging in there, so we can bring this meeting home in the next little while. So I'm going to ask Sadie to tell us about what's been going on up in Gwinnett proper and the larger area, so Northeast Metro.
Okay. I don't think I have to say much about the fact that we certainly need all of our chapters up and going and revived and busy and active. And one of the things that we had been wanting to do after working on Augusta area was to try to get a reboot of one of our larger chapters in the Lawrenceville, Gwinnett area. And fortunately, last month, Beverly and I went up to the Lawrenceville area and were able to meet with 4 people who had been pretty active members in that chapter. And they have indicated that, you know, they want to work hard to see if they can get the chapter up and going again. And so there's been planning in order, and they tried to get a little group together on their own and they didn't get a good response. So we're trying Plan B. Beverly has provided a kind of an introductory note that will go to the membership, basically telling them that we're looking forward to rebooting the chapter, and hopefully they will commit to attending a meeting coming up in the next several weeks. But right now, those 4 people have committed their time. There are over 200 members in that chapter, but right now, those 4 people have committed to calling or being in touch by email or phone to 40 people each. I appreciate their commitment because that's going to take a while, but we're hoping to see what comes from that, what kind of response we get, and projected possibility of a comeback meeting the early part of September. So we'll just see what happens with their groundwork.
And I thank you as always for your guidance to these folks who are trying to get their chapter back up and running. What we find is that people are they're interested, but nobody wants to be in a leadership position. So we're just sort of saying, well, don't worry about that right now. Let's just see if we can get folks back together. Gwinnett is a huge county land-wise, and there are several thousand retirees in that, not just Gwinnett proper, but in the little area around it. So it's worth trying to get them back up and running. Any other? So that's what Sadie and I did earlier in June and July. And I've gotten some feedback from when I sent the heads up kind of memo, and several people have written back to me saying, I'm interested. So that's a good sign for when the chapter people do their outreach. And I just think the more attention you give people, the more they're going to be willing to participate. So so other chapter reports. Let's see, Sam, what's going on with Central Metro? Sam may be out of the room.
Let's see.
You're muted. There you go. You're still muted, Sam. Sam, you are muted.
Gotcha. Now.
There we go. There we go.
Well, sometimes people want to mute me, but anyway.
Well, not right now.
And, you know, at our last meeting, we sent out 100 postcards and got with Rhonda, and haven't really seen a big increase in number of people in the cab in Fulton. We had like about 450 people on the initial list we had. And of course, I guess my question is, what do we want to do with the postcard project? Is it being revamped, or, you know, should I commit to, you know, spending, you know, postage for another 350 people? Also, depending on what we want to do with that will be what I want to set up the next meeting for, maybe later this month or August. So do we, what is the status of the postcard meeting or program?
It's still at play, Sam. I mean, I think the postcard thing is meant to be an introduction, and there's got to be more following that. Hey, how are you kind of thing. So, and I think that's what the postal people are coming up with, is some materials that might be helpful. But I mean, we've still got some postcards.
Well, I thought you had mentioned that you were going to revise it or do something. That's fine.
I haven't made any revisions because it's mainly, I think Bob has used them to notify people of meetings, which is perfectly fine. But my thought for having the postcards was that they would go to prospects, those opt-in, ERS opt-in people, as just an introduction. Here's Gsra, and there would be other material to follow, but we don't have a whole package of materials at this point in time.
Yeah, well, then it sounds like we want to continue with that, and I can do that at my last meeting. I was quite pleasantly surprised that we had enough people to send out the first 100. So
yeah,
you know, that was great, and so we can continue with it then.
Like I said, I don't think my expectation was that we probably wouldn't know for some time what the impact of the card was, other than it would get the name out in a succinct way, relatively inexpensively, much less expensive than a letter in an envelope. But my thought would be, if you sent a postcard to whatever group you were targeting and you could contact them by email, I would probably do something like that, just to kind of keep the contact alive. But that's just me. It's not a well-formed plan. We may not continue with the postcards. I still think they have utility, but it's not gonna, I never thought it was gonna produce massive influx of people. It's just an introduction to the organization. But I think we ought to use up what we've got. Let's don't let them go to waste. And then if we need to do something else, we certainly will do that. So
okay, then I can use another 350 then.
I may not have that many.
I've got some. I mailed 300 to the CSRA chapter yesterday, and I've probably got another big stack and a half that I can send.
Okay, well, good. So, all right.
That'll probably deplete my supply.
Your stash?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I can definitely send Sam some.
Okay, why don't you do that then, okay, Rhonda? Because I have promised the Gwinnett people some postcards from my little stack. So I've got 250 left.
All right, Sam, I'll get it in the mail what I've got left.
Okay, that'll be great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. All right. And Clara, thank you for taking on the postcards, and Have you got anything else for us from CSRA?
Our attendance was down. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little choppy, but yeah.
Okay. Our attendance was down this past month, mostly due to vacations, because people actually reached out and told us they would not be there due to vacations and graduations and what have you. So we're looking forward to them being next time. We're excited about our budget being passed today.
Good.
And we now have 2 locations that have agreed to let us meet the Columbia County Library and the Richmond County Health Department. Those are ongoing cases where they'll have that day reserved for us, even though we do plan to move around to try to include other areas. Barbara Larissy, who has actually attended an annual meeting before, she's doing our push for that because she can actually speak from experience of how the meetings go and the importance of attending. Our next meeting is next month. I'm not next month, next week, the 18th at 1 o'clock at the Health Department in Augusta.
Excellent. Thank you.
All I have.
Take some pictures.
I will. We missed this month sending a summary because I kind of got confused as to when the date was, or I missed it, or what have you. But
don't worry.
I'll get clear. I'll get clear.
Okay.
Clarification on that.
Thank you. I'm kind of going up the screen in my line of vision. So David is next, and then Renee, then Bob.
Okay, Beverly, this is David. I'm getting my group together sometime this month, pending issues with vacations and so forth, travel, to send out the postcards that we have, the most recent list that we get from Kevin. I think it's about 50. We sent out 50 earlier. And I plan on having a meeting sometime in September for a lunch meeting.
Okay. All righty. Thank you very much. Ms. Mumford, how are you? You're muted. There you go.
Okay, I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
The ABC Douglas chapter will be meeting on Monday at the Covered Wagon in Douglas, and our speaker will be from Silver Sneakers and Melissa Fletcher.
Great. That sounds good. How did you connect with her?
Jenny did somehow.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Thank you. Mr. Pollock?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We met Wednesday, the 11th. We had 17 people. We had 2 new first timers, so we were lucky there. Our program was on diabetes from the local Phoebe Putney Memorial Hospital. We had the educator to come in. Miss O'Connor did a great job sharing with us what diabetes is, a little bit about the risk factors, signs, and symptoms. It was a good program. I'd suggest that all of us in this age group probably need to listen to that. The other thing we talked about the upcoming annual meeting, encouraged folks to sign up, shared some applications for them. There was a couple of concerns from the membership, Bev, that I wanted to pass on. With the loan company being a sponsor, folks were concerned about releasing contact information to those folks. I think they've got them mixed up with the payday loans and the one power loans, and they just did not want to be, associated with that. But I told them, I said, we've researched it, we're comfortable with it. But anyway, just wanted to let you know you may get some feedback. The other thing was next meeting will be October the 18th.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Just one quick thing. Did you have a new member maybe from Tifton or Tift County?
We did from DOT, a matter of fact, HR person. So, and we're going to take advantage of her with recruiting some of her DOT folks. She had
her first call to me was Tuesday morning at 5:30 a.m.
Bless you.
Which I didn't answer, but she got me at 7:30 a.m. So she was very eager. So I was hoping she made it.
She did. She said that she had signed up, and instead of Tifton, they had her listed in somewhere up north around Tipton, or I don't know.
Something, yeah.
Anyway, yeah,
Good.
Topton.
I'm
So
glad she made it because she was starting
She
early.
did. Yes, yes. Great deal. Great deal. She was one of our first timers.
That's pretty dang funny. I'm sorry. God. Well, let's see. Is Miss Hayes still on? Linnell? I think she may be gone. Okay. I don't know anything about Northwest Metro, which is our Cobb, Cherokee, North Fulton group. I don't know that anything is happening there right now. So no report.
I don't know of anything either.
Right. Need to follow up with them. Let's see. Robert, I know that the chapter that was in your area, it has stood itself down, but that's another area we would like to develop. So that's for future.
Okay.
If you have recommendations, let me know of people who might be willing to do some development work there. Let's see. Okay, if there's no other chapter business.
Let's see, Beverly.
Oh, Dan, I'm sorry. And
Yeah,
golly, I couldn't see you. Okay, Dan,
well,
and then Judy, please.
Yeah, I think Joy dropped off, so I'll give a quick update. We've got our next Tri-County chapter quarterly meeting scheduled for Tuesday, August 29th at 11 a.m. And we're looking at having it at Doodlum's Barbecue in Woodbury, Georgia. We're finalizing those details and arrangements, but I think we've got the date and time locked in.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Judy, I'm sorry I missed you.
That's okay. Our next local chapter meeting is August 15th at our normal meeting place, F. Worth United Methodist Church. And Debbie Scarborough from AMBA is hosting. And she's going to send out all the invitations and provide lunch to all the attendees and the technical support for her presentation. So we're hoping to have a great turnout with that. Also,
I love Debbie Scarborough. She's neat. So
great.
Yeah.
Also, normally we have a small giveaway from our donation account, like a Walmart gift card or something like that. We were wondering if we could possibly give away a registration to the annual conference. Would that be appropriate?
I don't. So essentially you would be paying on behalf of somebody to attend?
Yes.
I don't have a problem with it. Is there something I'm not seeing here?
I can't.
I know that's asking.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, I can't see where there would be a problem with it. I guess Harold would be the one that would.
Well, it's from our petty cash.
Oh, it's from your petty cash.
Uh-huh.
And we don't have anything to do with your petty cash.
Oh, okay, great.
we gladly accept a registration paid for with US legit money. No crypto, please.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's as a way to get another person locally who may show up at the meeting that might not be registered.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Well, and that's a good point, Judy. since y'all is hosting us there in Columbus, yeah, you may want to remind folks that, to encourage folks to register. That's their meal ticket, fully participate in the whole meeting.
Yeah.
And I know you may have a few volunteers that help set up ahead of time and that kind of thing, or round up door prizes or whatever.
Yes, we're working on that too, so.
I mean, that registration's still, I think, as Sadie would probably say, we're not charging enough, but it's a good deal.
It is, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I haven't heard anything from Rome. I know Donna said they would not be meeting until the fall. I don't know anything about Waycross or Valdosta.
Beverly.
Yeah, yes.
Marlene here.
Oh, hey, I forgot you were on.
Rome chapter meeting will be August 15th. I don't have any details.
Okay.
But it will be on August 15th at the Rome Library.
Okay. Thanks, Marlene. Well, good. People are getting back in gear. Okay. Who else have I skipped? This is not a chapter issue, but BJ, Chuck, Jim, Robert, and I, and Chuck Clay will be meeting with DCH with Louis Amos and Kathy Craven on the 26th of this month. We had hoped to get in to see them a little sooner, but that's the way schedules went. So we'll let you know how that goes.
Beverly, is that a Zoom meeting?
No, this is in person. This is
Okay.
at Twin Towers.
Okay.
BJ, did you have anything you wanted to kind of set up for us about that?
I was just earlier thinking about, how we would approach it. The only thing, I think the agenda really is, what are you doing about the bids? We really probably should talk about Medicare Advantage,
Yeah.
wondering about the providers, what can be done, what will be done. I know that some of our people would like, additional options. I hear some of my cohorts talking about Medicare Advantage and, oh, you got dental and you got all these kinds of things, and just in terms of, is there anything else that they can do to make more options available?
Right.
And I would like to ask them, I copied you on the audit reports.
Yes.
On OPEB. And you notice that the OPEB for the teachers is like 8% funded, and it went way down this year. It went way down because they did not change the rates for the employer contributions into the teachers' health insurance fund or the non-certs fund. And of course, the legislature appropriated money to raise both raise the employer rate. So I know Lewis doesn't have a thing to do with the financial part.
Right.
But the financial, we've got to ask the question, because we need to ask, all right, who do we ask?
Right.
How do we get into the financial part, or get information about the financial part? Where is it accessible? How is it accessible? Because the OPEB reports were audited after the health plan was audited. And that was the earlier report when the audit department came out with a statement that they aren't funding, or it's the teacher program is not being funded. But we don't have enough access to information about the finances to even basically ask a question.
Form an opinion, yeah.
And you never get anything, you cannot get any financial information except from the state CAFR report or what the audit department has done. And the audit department does not audit them every year.
Right.
I don't, especially on these trust funds. And somehow the General Assembly, or they ought to require a financial audit on those every year. And to my knowledge, no one is doing that. So it's a question of, okay, how do we get information? Why can't we get additional information? And of course, they can always come back and say, well, the not CAFR, but the OPEB reports and OPEB not financial, but the actuarial reports are on the website. And I will look to see if there's been an update, but those actuarial reports are based on data, or the last ones I saw, and I don't know what's on there right now for if it's been updated. But the last ones, they continued the old data or the reports based on data 2 to 3 years old.
So it doesn't give the best result.
Well, it doesn't tell you what it is. And the thing of it is that nobody's watching the health fund from the financial standpoint. DCH is horrible on that end. And if you go back and just read the DCH internal control report, there were thousands of adjustments for DCH. And a lot of them were on the state health benefit plan. But Lewis is going to have a ready out. I don't have anything to do with that.
Right.
And the only thing, when we should ask about information or publications for or transparency for activity in the appeals part. How many appeals are they getting? How are they adjudicated? Not what they are necessarily, or categorized. So you can categorize them, but that is a nightmare to have to request an appeal through the state health benefit plan.
Right.
Who is servicing it? I don't know who's servicing. They've got so many little contracts here and there.
I was going to say, it's all farmed out.
Yeah. And so I guess the question should be, who is servicing these things? What kind of contract? Who is contracting for what?
Right. Okay.
That was the right question. And
that's a good overall question.
Right. And then we would like some transparency on the results of appeals, claim appeals. And of course, those issues can be a whole hour long.
Yeah. But those are good topics to touch on but I guess if we had to say what's the highest on our order of interest would be the bid process, the status there. Okay. And everything else is important too, but
yeah, well, that's the first thing we ought to ask is what process are they in?
Yeah.
And of course, my daughter, who is a retired teacher, said that she had gotten an email request, and it said it was from the health plan about, you know, different options or different ways of doing things. Now, she's not 65, so she's not under
Right.
Medicare Advantage, but, and she asked me about it, and I said, well, Harry, I don't know. I haven't gotten anything. I don't know what those are. So it's just a good, after you ask about it, the bidding process, then we can just say, you know, we have heard that there is a survey or there is a questionnaire on what kind of services, and what do we know about it, I guess.
Okay.
Those are the issues, and then you know, what are they going to do with the bids? And I think we probably ought to ask. I do not know from the standpoint of the federal government. President Biden continues to say that he's saved Medicare recipients all this amount of money on prescription drugs. Medicare set a set fee for something, diabetics, and he also is talking about establishing an out-of-pocket maximum for prescription drugs. And I thought I heard him say the other day that he had done that to take effect, not in January of 24, but in 25. And if that is true, I mean, we ought to ask them if they know anything. Is that true? Basically, is what we need to ask them. Has Medicare come out with a maximum on prescription drugs? And if so, what does that mean to us?
Right.
Those are my thoughts. That's a long-winded statement of my thoughts.
I'm glad to have them because, you know, this is so not something that I get very easily. So thank you. I'll be leaning on you heavily that day.
They theoretically would approve the January 24 benefits and premiums on August the 10th. I assume that is going to be correct. They theoretically would have an advisory committee meeting, you know, 2 or 3 days before then, which has not been announced, but it's not worth anything. So unless they bring it up, I wouldn't necessarily bring it up, because it's just one of those things that they will tell the advisory committee what they're going to present to the board for approval on the 10th. And nobody has any option, I mean, they can ask a question, but they can't affect anything. So
they're not really using that advisory committee to get input toward plan modifications and what members want.
The only other thing, you know, it's, you wanted to open up the discussion on how can we help you by using the advisory committee? What kinds of actions do you think would be appropriate for us to do or say or participate in that would help you in the activities of the health plan? What can we do, basically? Because right now, that advisory committee is absolutely worthless.
Well, it's not worthless. It's not being used. I mean, y'all's time is being sucked up, but nothing comes of it.
And last year it was, and it probably will, whatever they do will probably be a Zoom meeting. And it will just be, you know, just not a discussion. It'll be the same, basically the same presentation to the advisory committee that they submit to the board, because the board doesn't have any more say so in what's going on, except they can sign their name to the premium.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's terrible what they've done to the health plan in terms of no openness,
No accountability, it sounds like.
no accountability whatsoever to anybody except the governor. The
Well,
governor,
if I remember, that last audit that they pulled on DCH was not pretty.
oh, it was terrible. It was all the issues of how bad
Yeah.
accounting and financial controls are.
Yeah.
And I guess that may be the reason that the audit department did the audit on the OPEB trust funds. But, you know, there is nothing in the law, and there is no reporting that says that whatever you put in there, I mean, it says you can't directly go into and take the money out, but you certainly can pay the claims and take the money out.
Right.
So it's really, it breaks my heart, I should say.
Well, it's sad, but it's maddening. You know, you want to talk about taxpayers' money.
Oh, yes.
Come on.
And
Yeah.
I don't think necessarily that the health plan staff is doing a bad job. I think that they don't have enough staff to do a decent job, and they have outsourced everything.
Right.
To such a point that they don't have any, I think they don't really have any controls. And my opinion is they are not requiring adequate reports from those vendors to know whether or not they're doing a decent job.
Right. I mean, that's always been my apprehension about outsourcing and have lots of contracting. You do relinquish a good bit of control unless you're just going to monitor the fool out of it.
Right. And you really need to do that. But, and of course, Kathy told me that we don't have enough staff to do this operation from the state perspective. And I believe that to be true.
Well, we certainly have not invested in the infrastructure of state health benefits plan in terms of automating reporting or, you know, designing systems that would make monitoring and oversight less burdensome.
Just as a side note, and I would like to know why the governor vetoed the bill for the state personnel board to establish healthcare. Well, it's a healthcare advisory, healthcare accounts that passed the General Assembly, but then the governor vetoed it. I just want to know why. I couldn't. I told Chuck, I said, I think that this is all messed up. And I just wonder if DCH got him to veto the bill. That's what I'd like to know.
Are you talking about that spending account?
But it's not a spending account. It's
health savings account. That was Jason Esteves.
Yeah, healthcare savings account.
Yeah, he's my senator. And yes, that sailed through and then got vetoed. And it would have represented some cost savings too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, I told Chuck that should be a part of the health plan, not part of the flex plan.
Right.
And so I'm just curious. Before we leave, I would like to ask Lewis, you know, why did the governor veto it? And just see what he says.
It'll see what kind of response. They may not know either, but
they may not. I mean, they may say, well, we didn't have any, and that may be true at Lewis's level.
Right.
That was all done at the commissioner or level.
Yeah, exactly. And now we've got a new commissioner, Russell Carlson, who is, I understand, a very nice person. But he did not know who his audience was last year at our annual meeting when he stood up and said, "We need you retirees to be ambassadors for getting people to come work for state government." And more than one person made some rude comments that had to do with, "Are you kidding me?" So, yeah, we'd love to be able to be ambassadors, but that's not going to happen. So, yeah, he was a little tone deaf on that, a little ham-fisted. So, okay, well, we will try to get ourselves together on that for the 26th at 2 o'clock, is it?
I think that's right. I don't,
Right.
But I think that's right.
And Jim Somerville,
Floor of the East Tower.
Right. Which floor?
19th.
19th. Okay.
It just says, I mean, the notice just says State Health Benefit Offices, the 19th floor. So I would assume that when you gotta get off the elevator, you're going to see a sign somewhere.
We'll all try to get there in ample time to get lost and found. So
yeah, we probably should meet on the ground level, or not ground, whatever the entrance from
the plaza level. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll work. That'll work. Okay. Well, thank you, BJ. Let's see. I don't know that our survey on Medicare Advantage would be useful to bring back up.
I think we ought to just ask them about, because most of that, yeah, it's a discussion and
just a back and forth. Yeah.
Okay.
And for those out there who it's taken me years to learn the acronyms, but OPEB is other post-employment benefits. So that's what that's about.
It's our health insurance.
Yeah.
As retirees.
Exactly. And Medicare Advantage is fine as long as you're healthy. Don't get sick.
Yeah.
Not in Georgia. So, okay. Well, we are plowing on. And I had one other thing, the other business. Update on BMG money implementation. We did a soft launch in June. That was sort of a trial balloon to test the email to be sure there were no bugs there. That went well. And I believe, Rhonda, I saw an email from Kevin the other day asking Chad whether it was time to send the file. Do you know? I didn't hear any response. Do you know?
I think Kevin sent the file.
Okay, so we're good.
Yeah.
And Chad indicated that they had, thanks, Clara. We'll see you soon. They had actually already received several applications for assistance. So he will let us know as the program progresses. And BMG, for people who think they are maybe a sketchy outfit, they are contracting with AARP nationally and the NEA nationally. So they're respected business people.
Beverly, I have still not found when he gets ready to do the actual mail out of the folks that don't have emails. Go online to FedEx and look at their mailing services, but I didn't see anything that said they would actually print and mail things for us. Now, I didn't make a call. I just was looking at that stuff. So I still haven't secured that process yet. My friend will not do that. She doesn't do that. So,
well, I understood that when we were talking about it. So, well, I'm sure they'll bring us up to date. We need to. And I got some feedback from one particular person who was highly concerned that we were contracting with BMG. And she allowed us how she does financial counseling gratis, free of charge for people. And I didn't really try to get into explaining to her that when you are in a desperate tight and need some cash, while BMG does focus on financial literacy and betterment of one's situation, counseling is not going to help you when you need an infusion of cash. So I didn't get too heavy in the weeds with her on that, but yes, it's as Bob says, it makes some people uncomfortable, but I think we did well. And the one last little thing I have is about potential annual partners. A member elsewhere in Savannah suggested that we approach Georgia Farm Bureau Association because they are so widespread in Georgia. And I think the headquarters are in Macon, but I don't know a soul affiliated with Georgia Farm Bureau. And since we've got more people who live outside of Atlanta Metro than inside, I wondered if any of you all have a connection with Farm Bureau. That sounds like a no.
Yeah, Beverly, remind us, our current partners, I guess the Georgia United Credit Union and Atlanta Postal Credit Union, is there a change? Did one of them drop out?
Atlanta Postal has elected not to participate, and we've moved all of our business from one to Georgia Post, from Atlanta to Atlanta Postal Credit Union. But now they're not going to be participating in our meetings. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Right.
We had
and AMBA is a partner, and Blue Cross Blue Shield, Anthem rather, and United Health. And I'm trying to think, Laura and Rhonda I can't think of anybody else right now. And BMG is now.
we got United Health. What about Anthem?
Anthem, yes.
Okay.
And Sadie had said, and I think this is that, CVS is it's all over the state, and they might be a potential partner. I think they were founded in Florida. Were not they the precursors? Eckerd drugstores became CVS. Is that right? I can't remember, but anyway.
CVS bought Eckerd's.
Yes. Okay. All right. So if anybody has thoughts on how to develop any new relationships, please share. So I have run out of steam and agenda at the same time. I love when that works. So is there anything else for the good of the order? Okay. I will adjourn the meeting, and I thank you all for your time today and your efforts. Appreciate it so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Take care.